Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Software Plaza podcast. Software Plaza is part of Amazic, which is a software reseller in the EU region. And at Software Plaza, we talk about all things technology. We talk about cloud, we talk about AI. And today we're going to be focusing on AI and specifically on how AI is being used in enterprise collaboration between teams. That's going to be our focus. And we have with us a very interesting a couple of ladies who are joining us from an interesting company that probably all of us have heard of their names. But there's some really cool stuff happening at this organization that we wanted to let you know about. We're going to be talking to Lana Malikova, who's the Partnerships Manager at Superhuman. Also, part of Superhuman now is Grammarly, and there's another product as well that's really popular, Coda. So there's actually three products, and Superhuman is acquired. Well, I'll let them tell you the story in just a bit. But Superhuman is the main brand right now that they're part of. And we also have with us Kseniia, who is the solutions architect at Superhuman. And so they work a lot in the space of just AI and collaboration, the intersection between that, which is what their products as well are really built for. And they're here to talk to us all about that, what's happening in this space, and if whether you're a developer or a marketer or working somewhere in the IT team or sales, today everyone's using AI and everyone's collaborating. So that means this episode really matters to any one of you that collaborates and that does work in technology, which is pretty much everyone today. So listen up, and I think this is going to be a really cool conversation. With that, I want to welcome our guests, Lana, Kseniia. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome.
Pleasure. Okay. Thank you for having us.
All right. Wanted to get us started, Lana, with just getting to know a bit about you guys and your background, your career path so far leading up to Superhuman and what you do with AI and collaboration. Give us a little introduction.
Yeah, sure. I think the just the mix up of the names, Superhuman, Grammarly, Coda, all of it. Let's just clarify what is what.
Yeah.
So I personally started at Grammarly about 5 years ago, maybe around the same time as Kseniia started. So we're coming from Grammarly part. So what we have right now is a big happy family of three different companies joining together and just switching to the different name.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Grammarly acquired Coda and Superhuman Mail, and we all three companies are now working towards one huge, interesting product, like a joint baby altogether.
Mhm.
So over the years, Grammarly has evolved from just a simple grammar checker that tons of people thought into an AI-powered communication assistant that is used by tens of millions of people and the majority of the Fortune 500 companies. So what's powerful about Grammarly that it doesn't jump into the AI trend right away. It grew into the AI kind of organically by
Right.
deeply understanding language and how people actually communicate at work.
Mm.
So in my case, what personally drew me to the AI powered communication is that it's not just about replacing humans, it's actually about removing friction. And I'm
All
really
right.
excited about how Grammarly stepped into AI because we used to be just recommending suggestions, never autocorrecting. And now we're starting to just save time. AI helps people to express ideas more clearly right now, and it's just making things faster and with more and right with more confidence, especially in global distributed teams where miscommunication is super costly and not a lot of executives understand this or even think about this, even questioning themselves. So that's the kind of AI that truly empowers how we work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see there's a halo of logos behind you.
Yeah,
So I guess that it's more complex than just three products, I guess. There's a lot of
that's true.
features and things that's possible, which you'll be sharing with us in just a bit.
Yeah.
Kseniia, what about you?
Well, I've been in Grammarly part of the Superhuman also around 5 years, actually coming up pretty soon, the fifth anniversary. I have a different twist in my career. I joined Grammarly as a support agent, and then I started moving gradually into the direction of technical support because our product was quite fascinating. Like, I mean, this whole thing with AI, not generative AI at that stage, but I was English major back at the university, and I was kind of curious how all of this works and how does the product know what you want to do? How does it predict kind of that stuff? This is when I moved to technical support and I started supporting the technicalities of it. And then I got curious in how this tool integrates into workflows of big companies, of enterprise companies, of educational institutions. And this is where I switched to be a solutions architect. So right now, there's what I do now, and there's what I'm learning to do as we are all learning this new era. So I support our enterprise and educational customers with their onboarding, the technical part of it. I work with the security, IT teams, desktop teams, network teams, you name it, in order for us to be able to provide the best solution that would fit the specific use case, this or that. And then also I help out with ROIs, data, and things like that down the line. And now, then this is also probably why we are here today. We are learning to see how all of this generative AI, agentic AI fits into workflows of our customers moving forward. So I would be the
Mm.
person to collaborate and to come up with solutions once we learn the use cases and the need.
All right, all right. Yeah, excited to know you're an English major. I'm one as well, so it's quite rare it's not as common as
Oh,
the other
all of
major.
us.
Yeah.
All of us are over here.
I
There's
think it
probably a bunch at Grammarly.
actually at the Superhuman and the Grammarly part of it, definitely there were so many English majors that I know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. So there must be a lot of literature talk when you guys meet up for a break.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah. We had the back in the day we had the School of Computer Linguists that actually was an internal school of Grammarly. So we got the students starting at school, learning how to code, and they are joining the best ones. They were joining engineering team. I'm not saying that I'm very accurate with this information because I'm not an engineering team, but I've heard those informations from the internal team members.
Sounds like a really fun team.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Fun. And they're very knowledgeable. If you need to know where the comma should be or should not be, I can hook you
I'm
up.
sure there are a lot of wars internally on punctuations and the right way and the
Yeah.
wrong way.
We've had 70 reply Slack threads that I've been part of. So yeah.
Wow, that's a really cool place. Um, Talk to us about the acquisition and just how these three different organizations came together and what it actually means.
Yeah, that means that now we have a huge family. So we didn't expect to grow that fast, but we grew super fast.
So
Um,
how many are we talking? Like how many was Grammarly before the acquisition and now with the acquisition with Superhuman and Coda, how many?
I think that we got closer to 1,400 people when Coda joined.
Okay.
So I think that there are 200 about like around 250 codants. And then we have a Superhuman Mail team about 100 people. So now we're like a decent 2,000 because the recruitment also was happening for three separate companies in parallel. So I guess we can say like we're a company of about 2,000 people right now.
That is on
So
spot.
now yeah, and now we're all superhumans, so we don't even know any longer who is a Grammarly ex code ex
Oh,
superhuman.
okay.
Yeah,
That's really good. That means the integration has really worked well.
yeah, yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been
Um,
yeah. So did you have anything to add to that? I'm sorry I interrupted you. Or were you done
yeah,
with?
yeah. I think that when it came to just being Grammarly, it was very tough because being a product that only specifically works only by its name on grammar, right? Because it's grammar, Grammarly. I think that initially we wanted to pivot from just being mad by how we look in terms of the name. So I guess Grammarly acquired Coda because we realized that communication doesn't happen in isolation only. So it happens inside of the workflows where people work. And Coda brings these structured documents, databases, and collaboration into this picture. So
Mhm.
together, Grammarly plus Coda, they form the AI productivity platform.
Mhm.
So instead of AI living in just one app, it becomes kind of woven into your work documents, tasks, decisions, collaborations, you name it. And with Superhuman Mail, this is like a designed for people who live literally in their inbox. So it
Okay.
delivers this AI native email experience that helps users move super fast, summarizing the threads, drafting replies with their own voice. It learns amazingly fast. So for those guys who are zero inbox type of people and they're getting frustrated when they see 20 plus emails, that's the tool.
Mm.
So now we're joined together. These engineering teams of these companies are impeccably talented people, and we're all working on the product that soon will be available to all enterprises.
Right. All right. Yeah. Wow. Three really cool products, and I've used I think two of them, Grammarly and Coda. I haven't yet tried Superhuman, but yeah, I really love both of those products that I've used. Um, and yeah, so talking about, I think the thread of AI definitely runs through them naturally, and I want to ask about that AI. When it comes to AI today, we hear a lot of hype and we hear a lot of
Mm-hmm.
fear mongering sometimes. AI is going to replace all jobs. And a lot of people wondering, is AI going to take my job? Uh, what are your views on this? How do you see this hype versus reality with AI?
Yeah. This is a very common question. Most companies are actively discussing AI, but the real usage often starts bottom up, right? With employees already using AI. So that's how it works. So when they use it right to write AI to write, summarize, organize work, sometimes before the leadership formally approves it. So this is a little bit of the gray area, and it would be great if those groups of people actually talk to each other and learn from each other. Because, like I said, it's a bottom up. So some organizations still resist AI,
Yeah.
usually due to tons of security or cultural concerns.
Mm.
But the
Yeah.
reality is that AI is already in the workplace. Even if IT or someone else doesn't know, the users are using, right? So the people, the teammates, the employees, so whether it's officially sanctioned or not. So the real question is whether the companies choose to guide that adoption responsibly or not. And answering to your previous questions, as for the jobs, and based on the information that I learned, visiting different conferences, and also we have the Grammarly for Education line of business, and I was also talking, like in education, it's super scary for them. Like, how do I even start the job right now? Because maybe my entry level job would never be needed any longer, right? So,
Hmm.
what we all just heard within the last year of me attending conferences, talking to leaders, we all came to one conclusion that is always just across the board. AI will never take your job away, but the guy who uses AI will.
Okay. Okay.
So
Hmm.
again, get into the employees learning, understanding how to use AI responsibly, and the leaders aligning with their employees and properly enabling them. So I guess that's the reality versus hype.
Hmm.
It's not just hype;
Hmm.
it is here. So there is a huge risk of
Yeah.
not adopting AI.
Yeah.
Not It's not about too early. It's about not falling behind when the companies have done that homework better and they're too far in on that journey, because your company, for instance, is just like still discussing or denying the fact that it will be helpful.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow, that's a great response, and interesting that you brought in the angle of just students coming out of college and looking at the job landscape, and it's completely different. And a great point you made there about just that AI won't take your job, but people who use AI will be taking your job. And so, in other words, you don't want to be caught on the wrong side of this, where you fight this trend of AI adoption. Some great points that really kind of form the basis of our conversation today. But Ksenia, I wanted to ask you about what do these trends mean for productivity, especially when we're talking from an enterprise context. There's different kinds of teams with different priorities, and productivity means something different for each of them. But what does all of this mean for productivity in the enterprise?
Thank you. There are indeed many different kinds of teams and many different kinds of enterprises. And I feel like we are hearing a lot of outsourcing your work to AI, making sure that AI saves you time by doing work instead of you. And I feel like a lot of enterprises and a lot of institutions, educational institutions, are still to realize that increasing your productivity with AI does not really mean giving your job to AI, but it's kind of knowing how to integrate it into your everyday workflow in a way that you save time on those things that you would have spent a lot of time on unnecessarily. So revising, when we were talking about Grammarly, proofreader, which is going to be one of the agents right now, this ideation or revision, that would take a lot of time, and that time definitely could be spent somewhere else. So applying this to help you through your workflow is very important. But also, what is of utmost importance in here, and this is what like this kind of threat comes from, like people are scared of the fact that AI will take it away, is the fact that the human in the loop cannot be replaced. And I do not see that coming anytime soon. We do need a human to make the final decision. How is this revision? Is it appropriate? Is it appropriate for my company or for my educational institution? And kind of working alongside as thought partners in many different cases would also increase
Mhm.
productivity. And we see that already in Superhuman or previously in Grammarly. Personally, me and I know that Lana is the same. We are very we rely on AI very heavily, but still, this is my piece of writing, this is my content, and nobody would take that away from me because I'm the final decision maker. It's just that I save myself time on those things that I do not need spend a lot of time on. And I think where real productivity comes from is from having AI in your workflow. And this is where Superhuman will really shine, because we don't want AI to become just another tool. You know, you have 20 tools and then you have 21 tools. So you have to go somewhere to do something. Grammarly is present everywhere you write. Coda becomes this unified hub for collaboration. Superhuman Mail just really helps you accelerate that work. All of this is leaning on AI, and then AI really becomes part of what you do day to day vs just, an additional administrative or tool burden.
Mhm. Wow, interesting. Some practical insights there about just making AI part of your work at each step. And that's something I wondered if Lana could demonstrate for us in a couple of slides that you have prepared, if you could have that shared.
It's just a brief one. Like we already discussed, we now have three different products, and I'm gonna quickly just let you know, very high touch on what they look like. So Grammarly, like I said, started by helping people be better writers. So today the ambition is way bigger, right? So helping people work better. And that's the shift from just the super writers to superhumans. That's why we changed the name. So this evolution is built on more than 16 years of experience. That's how long Grammarly existed, helping businesses communicate more clearly and consistently. So you see right now, very brief description of the features like the grammar, checking style guides, snippets, brand tones, shared knowledge, databases. All of this created like a deep, profound understanding of how teams actually communicate at scale and let them sound aligned. So that foundation is actually what makes AI agents useful, not just impressive on our side. And moving forward, we are working still on each of our product lines. Grammarly today is a collection of specialized writing agents working together. Some of the agents focus on quality and clarity. Some of them are focusing on proofreading, rewriting, the reader's reaction, which is very important of how the message is perceived. Others focus on trust and integrity, like the plagiarism detection, because we do have a line of business for education, AI detection, or just fact checking themselves. And some other agents are just helping with the tone, brand voice, and collaboration. So now we have not just Grammarly, but Grammarly decided to expand into more agentic style. So these agents work directly inside of emails, documents, browsers, and apps. So the users don't need to change how they work because it actually just follows them where the employee works or the user works. And Grammarly can be purchased today as a standalone product or as a part of the bundle with other products as well. Now, Coda, it's an amazing doc and workspace, is another product that customers can buy today. It brings the structure to work documents, data, and workflows, all in one collaborative space for any teams. This is where the communication turns into the execution. Coda helps teams organize information, make decisions, and move work forward together. And the description, I'm going to hit the play button, but this video probably can be found somewhere in your network later on. The Superhuman Mail, like I said, people who love to be the zero inbox. Superhuman Mail is built for people who live in their email box. So it's an AI native email experience that helps users move faster, summarizing threads, drafting replies in their own voice, and prioritizing what matters so the teams stay in flow instead of managing inbox overload. Like Grammarly and Coda, Superhuman Mail is powerful on its own, and it's also available today. And moving forward, like I said, we're working on our joint baby. We're moving from just the product into the platform. So this is where it all comes together, and we're moving from individual SaaS product to a shared AI platform. So Grammarly, Coda, and Superhuman Mail are no longer be just the standalone separate products, but all of this experiences, and some extent, would be a part of the connected ecosystem. So this is a quick sneak peek into the Superhuman Go. This is the AI platform for enterprise customers, provides proactive AI assistance that travels with users across tools, helping before they even ask. So you already see Grammarly as one of the agents over there on the right. So it lives under Superhuman Go. The Go brings together the AI chat, writing agents, data connector agents, and the agent marketplace, all powered by the intelligence behind all of our tools. So this is how the AI agent work across different tools. Connector that integrates with 100+ enterprise systems, email, calendars, CRM systems, HR systems, productivity tools, you name it. So they reduce information silos, summarize content across all sources, they manage tasks and help users stay focused without switching context. Soon will be available to all enterprise customers. And on that note, I'd probably say that today customers can buy each of those products once again separately, or request to be the early adopter of Superhuman Go by contacting Amazing.
Right. Oh, thanks. That was a really interesting demo there. I was curious to know, is it clear if this will be a completely new app itself, Superhuman Go, or will it still be three separate apps but somehow integrated in the back end? Which will it be?
Kseniia, want to
Yeah,
answer?
I can take this one. The final solution is still TBD. Right now, Superhuman Go is a separate, it comes available through the Grammarly browser extension. If you have that available and installed, then you just click a toggle and then you kind of get access to the new experience. So I think we are talking about making this available as a desktop application too. But on the large grand of scale, the company Superhuman is going kind of to a multi-product approach, and we will be selling products as they are. But of course, we think that integrating them all together into this one nice polished workflow is beneficial for the customer.
Wow, really interesting. Wow. There's so much potential there because, it really touches like the most important tools that we use every single day, multiple times. So there's just like, I think, a huge opportunity here for you to really change how work is done. So, amazing the kind of possibilities from the demo that you just showed us, Lana. Kseniia, I wanted to ask about this idea of associating AI with cost cutting. For a lot of people, when they think of adopting AI, they look at it as a way to save on costs. And, well, they think about how can I replace some of the human workers with AI agents or something on those lines, or how can I remove some of, like I have too many tools that do too many different things. How can I consolidate them with fewer AI tools? Talk to us about just this idea of thinking of cost cutting when it comes to AI. What's the approach that people should take? What are some pitfalls they should watch for?
Yes,
I
thank
think
you.
that I think that I
Wanted
will
to
take
say
this over. Yeah.
that, well, this is very high up on everybody's agenda to talk about cost cutting. Lana is the one that actually does the work there and talks more about it. So I think I'll better pass it to her.
Yeah. Because Ksenia is on more of an implementation side. She's more product knowledgeable than me, and like under the hood of the product. And I'm more customer facing, partner facing. I'm talking to people. So yeah, I can take this one. And I would say that the biggest mistake the companies make with AI is using it only to cut costs, like as one of
Okay.
their this is the reason, right? Um,
Mm,
because I've heard the situations. I'm gonna not gonna share the names, but I've heard those situations when huge companies with this fear of falling behind think that they can actually cut thousands of people. They cannot do it right away. They want to do it smoothly. So they hire the outsource and let the outsource figure out how to properly train these people to use AI. Because again, the company does not have the policies yet, does not understand how to responsibly enable the team members. They want to take someone on the outsource to do it for them, and it could be like later on ending with the cutting costs. But again, feels like the AI was the reason. So the real cost, in my opinion, comes from the poor communication. That's where it comes from. It's rework, slower decisions, disengagement, and churn. Because I believe that AI works best when it removes friction, not people. So it's more of a not either or. It has to work together. It's a better together story as opposed to people versus AI. So tools like
mhm.
Grammarly, Superhuman Go, I would even say it will be a better example here, because Superhuman Go would definitely would definitely fall in this category of the productivity AI, not just Grammarly. I would say that they don't replace jobs. They eliminate repetitive work and they reduce wasted time. So the companies seeing the real return on investment using AI to improve everyday workflows, especially communication, because that multiplies the value of every other investment they make. But like we talked in the very beginning, don't think that a lot of leaders, I don't think that a lot of leaders know how to properly calculate this loss due to the poor communication. It's not a very on the surface number. It's not there. And most of the times when you ask these questions, they will be happy to hear on how to calculate it just because they didn't know how to do it. Um, and I'm not speaking about everybody, but I would say like majority of the customers that we talk to, they didn't know how to
Mhm,
calculate it.
mhm.
So yeah,
Wow.
that's my reply to that.
Wow. Yeah, insightful response. I like what you said about repeating what you said earlier, that AI is not going to replace jobs. It's going to remove repetitive work. I think that's a fantastic way to phrase it. I wanted to get into a bit of detail in talking about applying AI for different teams. And, there are different teams like we discussed in enterprises. And we could probably talk about two of them. We'll first talk about marketing. If Kseniia, if you can comment on this, just how do marketing teams use AI for productivity? And then we'll talk about another use case uh, with another team. But yeah, let's go with marketing first. Kseniia?
Sure, thank you. This is a very timely question indeed, since we just, not just, but a few months back, we kind of released this offering that is the first, Lana likes to call it a baby, a joint baby of Grammarly and Coda that we position it as Marketing HQ because it's so applicable for the marketing teams out there. A lot of what Lana just mentioned about how teams collaborate and work definitely does apply to marketing teams. If we are talking
Mhm.
about information silos, if we are talking about multitude of different tools, about the approval processes, about tracking processes and things like that, just imagine for a marketer to write something, a piece of content, to review it, to share it with somebody else for review, then to approve, then track. This is a lot, and this it easily becomes really overwhelming and also very time consuming. And of course, this is if we stick to this idea of AI helping with the repetitive work, a lot of that work is repetitive, and a lot of that can be accelerated with the help of combination of Grammarly and Coda. So what does Marketing HQ does here? It brings order and quality to the marketer's job in everyday life. And then there will be kind of two components to that. On the writing side, Grammarly has been here for a long time. We all know and love it. It helps us through the whole writing process as the content is creating, and it helps with the revision real time. And then, of course, that saves time on the revision alone or on tone,
Mhm.
consistency, fluency, and things like that. And of course, the style guides that are very important for marketing teams too. And then what Coda does in combination with this, it brings kind of the structure to work.
Mhm.
You mentioned that you are familiar with Coda.
Mhm.
I also like, I hope the day comes when I can say that I'm familiar with Coda fully because it can do just so much.
Oh, yeah.
It,
Well, I have to say I'm probably more familiar with the earlier versions of Coda, like from
mhm.
like 2018, 19, the early years.
Yeah.
Recently, there's been a lot of updates that I haven't kept track of, so it's probably a completely different Coda now.
It's like the beauty of Coda is actually that it is still the tool that you used in 2018 and 19, but it also is so much more. Like right now, also what I wanted to kind of emphasize a lot is that Coda is not just one more tool that you need to learn and integrate, right? It very nicely combines all the tools that you already have and all the workflows that you already have in this one hub. So you can start writing content there. This is a great tool for collaboration because multiple people can be on the same document at the same time in the same hub. So you can streamline and automate this whole process of writing, revising, approving, but also you can add to that something like timelines tracking and shipping trackings and stuff like that. And in this, in the end, Marketing HQ, which is Coda plus Grammarly, for the time being, is kind of like end-to-end workflow. So you combine everything together in one spot and you can do your work just where you are. You do not need to go to one tool to another, but they all come to you. And I definitely see this as a beauty of it. And we've already heard reviews from marketing teams that are working with it, that it does remove a lot of friction and repetitiveness of certain things.
I want to check this out. Marketing HQ sounds
Lana
interesting.
would be your person.
All right, all right. Yeah, definitely should. Um, so I want to ask about another team that similarly uses AI. And by the way, fantastic examples there, Kseniia. Thanks so much. I want to talk about HR, another team that has even within itself multiple teams with different functions and different things they do. Quite complex, the HR, and really just a lot of data that's just like the lifeblood of the organization. Talk to us about just the uses of AI in HR and what's possible there. If
Yeah.
Lana
Uh,
could, yeah, Lana could take this.
yeah. I'm just like, I remember that. a lot of times we underestimate, like when it comes to the who is the decision maker on any side of the company, right? Where like we have a solution that is aimed to support people, right, better, faster, clearer, and so on and so forth. And we always had like the head of sales or head of customer support that we need to reach out to as like the key buyer persona. And in my personal opinion, I think that HR is very underestimated. And the reason for that is they have so much responsibility across the board, and they know supposed to know everything about any employee in the company, right? So it's a huge responsibility as well as burden sometimes because they have teams of different needs. So when it comes to Grammarly, and in my personal experience, it was often misunderstood as just a writing tool, but in practice, the accessibility piece of it and the productivity solution made a lot of difference when we're talking to HR because they understand the needs of the employees. So when they support the ones who struggle with communication, it could be anything. It could be English as a second language or additional language, or just for multiple reasons, the person is actually keeping their four languages in their head. Like take us, for instance, right? We are people who are switching three different languages within the time. And by the time I have a team meeting at 6 p.m. and I'm very unclear with my words, I usually tell them like try to switch between three languages within the whole working day, and then I'll talk to you later. It's difficult sometimes. My
Mhm.
previous manager used to call my English language. So he's like, you have a different type of a language. So it's also like neurodiversity of the employees, right? We have dysgraphia, tons of things that people would not even be open to release and to report to anyone, right? They probably would say this to HR,
Yeah.
God knows if they do. Or just highly technical roles. These guys are also very different in their communication patterns. Sometimes they're very straightforward, very strict, and a lot of times the others who communicate with the technical guys, they say like, oh, they're like screaming at me from the screen. So that depends. That is why I would say that Grammarly Superhuman Go, as a result, like as a next product for us, it would help them communicate clearly and confidently in the moment without the special trainings or special recommendations, right? So IT in this case would be supporting, would be like a low effort because they would be helping with the faster deployment with a very minimal training. And they would be
Mhm.
sure that they were at the enterprise grade level of security. So that is why many companies actually use Grammarly as a way to improve their communication across the entire workforce, while quietly kind of supporting those who needed it the most. So it kind of was equally deployed to everybody, and no one needed to talk about like, oh, I actually feel a little self-conscious because I'm speaking English 6 p.m. After switching between four languages. So I think that my point is that I think that HR is very underestimated department because they know a lot about their teams.
Yeah, yeah. I have a follow-up question to something you mentioned about just how HR handles a lot of confidential information, and especially that makes it probably that's seen as probably an obstacle for AI adoption because organizations want to make sure like their confidential information stays confidential. Talk to us about someone, let's say someone's watching this who thinks, yeah, I have that concern, I can't just let AI crawl some of the important spreadsheets I have or emails that I have, me or my team. I'm not confident doing that. What would you say to someone like that?
I
I
would
think
probably pass it to Ksenia, yeah, because I think it's more of a controls of the product, yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. I must say, like a short summary to my answer that follows Grammarly and Superhuman as we are transforming really shines at it.
Yeah.
But to go a bit into the nitty-gritties of it, if we are talking about Grammarly as a product that works whenever you write. There are certain conditions where Grammarly can work and cannot work. So we do not work in read-only fields. We do not work in input type of fields. So if we're talking about things as social security number fields, email addresses, phones, URLs, password fields, email fields, stuff like that, we would not activate at all. And I'm assuming as we are moving forward and developing on our product offering, these will be the fields that are kind of also hidden from the Superhuman. Right. But of course, the enterprise grade security comes as a good addition to this. Grammarly. And again, on the security stance, we are still working through all the things on combining different platforms. But I can certainly speak to Grammarly that we have such a variety of different certifications. We've been checked and rechecked a multitude of different times, but different teams and pen tests and stuff like that, that we really know that we can maintain whatever it is that we promise in terms of security of your data and the privacy of it. And then also, if we are talking about AI specifically, it's important to understand how the data is being processed and how the data is being stored, right? So we do take the input that you are typing, we do process it because you want to get that output, right? But the moment it goes to the server and then it comes back, it's not stored anymore. So any of those servers that do not really have access to the data. And for our managed customers, and I think that here we are having a conversation about the contract customers, we do not store, we do not store data, yes, but we also do not train on your data at all. So from all possible signs, kind of, it is very secure, but should some administrators have even more concern on top of that, we have very granular controls. So you can have different groups set up. You can have AI on or some features on for specific groups, but not for other groups. Also, if there is a URL or a desktop application that you find of utmost importance, and even all of those security promises that we have just given you do not work for you and you don't want us there, you can still control that. You can deactivate us in this specific app or on this specific website for a specific group or for everyone. And then we also have things like DLP and stuff like that. So you have a nice suite of security features that give you this ultimate peace of mind from any direction you want to approach it from.
All right. Wow, that's fantastic. Definitely, things that's definitely a response that would, ease some of those concerns if it's ever there. I wanted to get into a bit of the features we saw in the demo that Lana had showed us. And Kseniia, if you could talk to some of these. I'd like to talk about the AI detection feature that Grammarly has, because it seems a bit contradictory that, Grammarly uses and generates text with AI, but it's also got an AI detection feature. How do you balance that, and how should users understand this, the balance between this?
Contradictory indeed at first, probably. I think that is very closely intertwined with what I just spoke to in the last question, my last answer, in terms of what organizations want to see and how organizations would want their end users to work with AI. So yes, we do offer AI and we lean on AI and we want AI to be implemented in your daily workflow. But we also understand that those organizations that need the insight into how a certain piece of content was created. And they need to have the peace of mind as we are adopting AI, as we are becoming AI friendly. They need to know how large of a part AI played in this or that task or in this that piece of content. And this kind of is twofold. On one hand, if you run this through an AI detector, the organization admin or security team or something else, they would be able to guess how large of a part AI played in it. But also as an end user, you never know when somebody wants to check your work, or maybe you actually do know that somebody wants to check your work. And then you write a piece of content, maybe it's original, maybe it's edited with AI, maybe it's fully AI. And you can also run your piece of content through this AI detector to see approximately what results you're looking at. And from there, you can iterate on the final piece of it. So the goal here is really not to police users. It's just to give this freedom of insight and the freedom of, not being blamed later on. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it.
All right. Cool. And there's another related feature as well that Lana had mentioned, which is just transparency of which content is authentically written by humans for sure. Just authorship tracking. Um, Talk to us a bit about that. And Lana had mentioned that's important, especially for educational institutions. I can imagine even within organizations, there are definitely teams that want to track this, and it matters to them. Talk to this feature.
Yes, thank you. AI transparency is very important. And I think uh, on the large scale of things, it's important to understand that different teams use AI in a variety of different ways. So sometimes AI can be used on top of the content that has already been pre-created, kind of to, per se, you can use Grammarly to remove the repeatedness of all of it, of ideation or of revision when you want to adjust the fluency and stuff like that. But still, the human stays there, right? So the human wrote the piece of content. Or sometimes when you start the project anew from the very scratch and you want to kind of spend less time on thinking about what the options could be, how to get started, then you can also use AI to kind of give you a head start to iterate multitude of different ideas, and then you think critically about how to adopt those in what you do. So that would remove friction on different sides, but also different teams would use AI in different ways. We do have a lot of different metrics that we track that can be tracked on the analytics tab and things like that. But again, as I mentioned, on the organizational standpoint, a lot of that AI transparency is addressed through all of the controls and the governance and the certifications that we have. Again, features such as AI detector. And to speak to this authorship feature a little bit more, this is where it really shines for educational institutions. And I assume there might be the time when it would be rolled out a little bit wider. But in a nutshell, what it does, authorship is a separate feature of Grammarly that works in Google Docs and Word. This is very important to pinpoint right away that it requires consent from the end user, but basically it is tracking. And this is not, if you are familiar with general AI detectors, how they work is that they use the algorithmic approach and try to predict how much of users' text corresponds to how the algorithms of AI would work, and that's how kind of how this prediction happens. So what authorship does, it gives you like this complete transparency into how the piece of content was created, because it tracks and records what you do. So how it looks for the end user, say I'm a student and there is an assignment that I need to submit, and it's important for me for my educator to know how I created this piece of content. I go to Google Docs, for example, right now, and I click activate authorship. It activates tracking, and you give explicit consent that you will understand that Grammarly now has access to your clipboard and your activity is being recorded. So you write, and then say you go to some other tool and you want to generate a piece of content with AI there. You come back to Google Docs, you paste it there, then you rewrite something with Grammarly, or you copy paste something from a different resource. I'm not going to probably name the sources right now, and what we have in the end is that Grammarly has recorded everything on how you created and wrote and worked through this specific assignment, and it breaks it down into labeled segments. Because we have access to clipboard for the duration of this task, we are able to identify the tools where you pasted the content from. Because we are Grammarly, we can also see how much of your content you edited with us, and then how much of that was original because we were going through this. So, and then in the end, you can share the link with your educator. There will be this report that is in different, broken down to different segments, but also, should you want to, there is also a recording. The user has to opt in to share the recording. It's not something that gets shared automatically. But basically, this is like the ultimate peace of mind to your educators, knowing how you worked on something, and also for students not to be worried that somebody's going to run something through AI detector and all of the text will be, suggested to have been worked through with generative AI.
Yeah.
Mm,
It was even a legal loss. It was a lawsuit in the UK, I think, in 2023 when we just launched, like when ChatGPT just launched. The student committed a suicide. It was University of Bristol, if I'm not mistaken, because the professors flagged him that he's been cheating and he has been not, because it was just a false detected text because he was using some general phrases. So it was a
mm,
big issue. And from the business perspective, I think that in Europe, we were discussing that authorship might be widely used for media companies because obviously at a certain point, the low quality content produced by journalists would not be accepted any longer, and they would create some norms. There will be regulations. So it would be a huge add-on, and will be a helpful tool for them too.
And also,
mm.
now that we talk about lawsuits and everything else, I find it very important to add here that this is not key logging. And Grammarly, when we work through implementation process, I hear this all the time, is Grammarly a key logger? It's not, but also authorship here comes as a special thing. So it's still not key logging. It's consensual tracking of the assignment you work on the specific web page. But outside of that, yes, we have access to clipboard. Yes, we can see where you copied it from, but we cannot see what actions you took in some other web pages or stuff like that. So, yeah, I know for a lot of educators, this is a very important distinction. I just wanted to put it out there, kind of.
Wow, that's a really powerful feature that you just mentioned. And I like how it balances both sides of the equation, the author as well as the reviewer or the person who's going to get the document at the end. It's considering both priorities, both of their, uh, what matters to them. The record feature that you mentioned, what would that look like? Is that like a bunch of screenshots that you can see how the document developed, or is it some other, like, how does it look? What does it look like?
It's actually a screen recording of this particular page. So when
Oh,
the report is generated, there are three tabs to the report. One is where you can see by segments of what was pasted, what was edited with Grammarly, and what was original. And then if you want to share the recording, you click specifically share the recording, and then you can send this link that will include the recording that your educator or potentially some other time your other
yeah.
admin
Great.
can view.
Yeah. That's quite detailed. I'm just wondering how heavy or light it is because I mean, I've got like, I don't know, 15, 20 these plugins in the browser already. And, and if this is recording screenshots and all of that, do you find it slows? Sometimes it may slow a browser down, or do you find that the impact is not really there?
That is a very tricky question. That would that would depend on a lot of different things. But the short answer, no. It does not come as a separate browser extension. It is just a feature that activates when you open Google Docs per se right now,
Okay.
or Word when we are talking about the desktop app. So you open Google Docs, Grammarly extension is ready and waiting for you there, and then it recognizes that you are on the educational license. And then it says there will be like a thumbnail kind of print there somewhere on the bottom left and asks you, would you like to activate tracking? But of course, it is not stored on device. It does go to our servers for the duration while the educator is looking at it and while the whole report is being worked on. So no, I mean, connectivity issues are a different topic, but on the large scale of things, no. Oh, and Lana
And just
found us a visual. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it
Oh,
was just
okay.
a visual because I was trying to find the best one. Yeah, that's how
Yeah.
the authorship reporting would look like.
Mhm.
Um, and I believe, oh my
Neat.
God, how do I properly? Okay, so this is how the writing scores look like, and this is basically your text as a user on the under the writing scores. So there is a visibility, and you can go through in detail. But I've heard a lot of times that educators love this summary
Yeah. Hmm.
where it has been used, and it gives them like a sneak peek very quickly. But yeah, if there are anyone who would love to deep dive, jump on right on authorship, there is a lot of information right on our website, and it's available as far as I'm not mistaken, it's available for just a quick free check. Kseniia, if you go on the website and try to type something and run through the authorship.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, thanks for pulling that up. And I really love the way it shows the top sources and shows you exactly what percentage of each source. That's pretty smart.
ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Yeah. Grammarly is a lot, like used a lot in ChatGPT. Basically, people are afraid that they will be not speaking to ChatGPT in the proper voice tone and with grammatical mistake, so they use it over there too.
Yeah, yeah. I think this is definitely peace of mind for people who are fighting over AI and whether which content is AI and not AI.
It's true.
Uh, so zooming out a bit from talking about features, I want to talk about just AI adoption and some of the obstacles that people are facing as they adopt AI internally, some of the challenges, and just how to handle all of those.
I think I can take this one too.
Uh,
When we are talking about implementation, be it an educational line of business or the enterprise line of business, I see when we meet with the customers at first and we talk about how do you see success of it, right? And then they say, oh, we see that AI is available to say 90 or 95% of our account. And this is where we usually say that, yeah, this is cool, but I think the key mistake here comes from thinking that availability of the tool equals people using the tool, but that is not necessarily true. And also the ease of use of this tool. I would not say that AI is, or the tools, any of our products are implemented in your company if they're just deployed to your computers. They might be there, but of course the users might not know how to use them, or they find it kind of cumbersome because they will need to go from one side website to another website, then they need to go to this app or this app. So I think when we are talking about what success looks like, is yes, AI being present and available, but also coming back to a few questions before, how present is AI in your day-to-day workflow across the team? How much of it you are using daily and how many tasks, how many friction you were able to reduce with the help of AI? I certainly can speak for myself. I know what tasks are AI only, and then I just kind of go over, or what tasks I do by myself, and then I ask AI for the final help. And this is when we can talk about AI being present and kind of adapted. And this is where Superhuman, I'm sure, will be a great success because conveniently we work right where you work. So you do not need to add something else to your daily flow. We are already there. So we kind of are there to alleviate the work for you. And again, conveniently, Coda gathers everything together into one single hub. So you do not need to go from here to there, from here to there. You have it all together. You reduce the time then, but you also kind of have this multifaceted approach in one single hub. And that it becomes implemented because it's easier for you to use that way. And then from there on, if you're talking about real metrics, and then there are things that we can track and that your admins and end users can look into to understand that it's there. But when I work on the task and I have extra 10 minutes to have a cup of coffee that is saved with AI, definitely for me it's a success because I'm like, yeah, it worked.
Yeah, yeah. Neat. You mentioned metrics. I want to ask about just the ROI of AI. How do people look at ROI? How do they calculate it? How can they say this has been a success, it's going well? Or when do they say, something is going right, but something else is not? How do they track ROI?
That is a very good question, and I'm sure this is a very important one for a lot of admins out there. I think there are a couple of different levels to how we would be tracking ROI of a specific AI communication tool. So to start with, I would definitely talk about the adoption, not just availability of it, but how users are adopting it in real life. And this comes from Grammarly originally, but now as we are uniting platforms, it's going to be spreading to different products too. But we have a great analytics dashboard where the admins can see how the tool is being used across the board. So it does not go to individual nitty-gritties, but you can see how much time was spent, how many suggestions were accepted, how the communication score was approved, kind of like that. So you can see generally that, yes, this is something that our team is actively using. And from there, I would talk about accelerating and kind of building on how this team or that team or the whole organization is using it, because of course using AI takes AI fluency, and that naturally involves enablement and stuff. But from there, we can talk about, say, how much friction we removed and how much time we saved. And of course, time translates into money. So this is not something that you can think about in one day, like how many dollars have I saved? But on the grand scale of things, this is quite trackable. And then if there are organizations that are very interested in ROI, we do conduct ROI studies over here. So this is basically when we get with customers together and we make a structured proof of concept. We start talking about how your flows and how your communication looks like right now. What are the outcomes? And then we implement the tool. We see the adoption go up. We see acceleration of it. And then we see how certain metrics are changing. So time spent per one email, or how many hours you spent per day on a specific task and stuff. And then what we've seen already, which I'm sure a lot of people would like, is that also translates into larger scale, because then we can also track, not track, but we can see how it impacts customer retention for our customers. So things like retention, things like enablement, accessibility, customer engagement, things like that. All of them can be actually tied back to the usage of our tools.
Right. All right. Wow. Thanks so much. That was quite a deep dive, and it was a fascinating list of features that you had walked through, and even use cases. As we wind down, I wanted to ask Lana about just looking ahead for the next year or so. There's a lot happening in the space with AI, and a lot is changing. But what are you keeping your eye on? What is most interesting as you read up on news updates and what's happening out there, or even on internally things you guys are working on and most excited about? What does the future look like for the next year or so?
That's a good one. I think that we'll see major shifts, and I would probably highlight three of them. So number one will be the agents will become proactive, not reactive. So now we proactively go switch the surface, jump back and forth between the tools. Thank God we already have the tool in our company that we produce that actually is working with us. We don't have to switch back and forth. But what it does right now, it's still reactive, right? So we have to click a list on that and ask questions or write a prompt or give them a task. I think that the first, it would switch from reactive to proactive, giving you recommendations. So instead of waiting for the prompts, it will anticipate your needs and suggest next steps, summarize content, and give you more context, probably help you prioritize your work. I would say the second major shift that would happen, and I personally expect this to happen, is we will switch to the multimodal AI and it will become a standard. So instead of fighting who's the best on this field and compete with each other, we would learn how to work together. Because if you heard from multiple other podcasts of very amazing CEOs or amazing people that work in the world of digital SaaS, different products, they all say that we need to work together. Only this way we can become efficient, and we will not start a huge digital war between each other, right? So AI won't just work with certain text or in certain interface or just with the voice. We'll figure out how to collaborate and bring all the tools together. So I see this that Superhuman would definitely do this. Superhuman Go, I mean, bring all tools together and embrace each of these tools' efforts and the best of each of those tools. And the third shift that I anticipate would be that we'll see that enterprise-grade agents will be trained on the company contexts, policies, brand voices, workflows, and helping this certain team and the certain organization operate faster and more consistently within their ecosystem. So it would not be that everybody is writing the same thing and you just see the same piece of the content um, across all of the companies, right? They would figure out how to properly train these models to sound like them specifically. So that's how I see things happening. Probably like not till the end of this year, but maybe like a little longer, like 18 months or so. That's kind of my personal prediction.
Fascinating. There some three really powerful possibilities there as we think about the year ahead. Finally, for someone who's listening to this and is excited about what they've heard and they want to try this out, what's the next step for them? How do they get started?
So while we're building this huge, no, while we're working on our new baby, I like it better. So while we're in the process, there are still three options available. So we still have three different products, that is Grammarly, Coda, and Superhuman Mail, that could be purchased separately, or maybe we would love to put them in a bundle. So feel free to reach out to amazing managers and request the demo, the quote, like the overview, anything to learn more about those products. Or if you would love to jump on the early access queue, go ahead and do it right away, because even if you go through just one product, will be like a smoother access for you when Superhuman Go is available to enterprises. So either or, you would be the early adopter, either through one of the existing products or just staying in the line, being curious about the launch of Superhuman Go that is very soon to be happening.
Right. Right. And how do they find this early access list? Like, how do they sign up? Is it on the website itself?
I think we will be working with your team on properly how to collect all the early access adopters, the one that would love to do this. But anyone who is interested in either Grammarly Coda or Superhuman Mail would definitely hear from us. So it's either or, but we will be working with your team internally to properly inform all of the listeners, users, customers, partners that listen to you.
Okay, fantastic. All right, with that, we come to the end of our questions. Wow, that was a whirlwind conversation. I think it was like a mini course on AI and collaboration. I think we really spoke about some of the cutting edge ideas today, because there are a lot of questions on people's mind, but there's it's harder to find like reliable answers, and I think that's what you brought today to the conversation. So thank you so much for just being really insightful, getting into the details where needed, giving us the right context, and just making it a really fun conversation, making us to get excited about adopting AI in our day-to-day work.
Not that scary as it sounds.
Here.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, it definitely is an exciting future ahead with AI. Thanks to all of our listeners and viewers for tuning in. Do get in touch with Amazic at amazic.com if you want to get a sneak peek into Superhuman Go. And feel free to connect with Lana and Kseniia on LinkedIn or elsewhere if you find their ideas interesting and if you'd like to continue the conversation with them. And with that, we'll see you on the next episode. Take care.